enough. That was good enough.
Hey, Mr. Mark, how are you?
I am doing great, Sam. How are you doing, Mr. Award-winning Pride staff owner?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, Pride staff got the Viewers' Choice Awards. I'm Sam Lewis. I'm here in Bloomington, Illinois, and my friend over there is
Mark Lips, and I'm here in Northern California. Our sponsors are the Right Choice Farm Stay and Catering, and also Happy Friday Neighbors newsletter that comes out every Friday for the last 25 years. Sam?
And this site is sponsored by Pride Staff, the award-winning People's Choice Award for Best Staffing Agency in Bloomington, Illinois, and Sam Substack, the producer of Finally Friday Philosophy, which comes out on Friday, newsletter full of I don't know what, but cool stuff. So, Mark, by the way, you're welcome to plagiarize anything you want from my newsletter.
Yeah, okay. And vice versa. So that you're kind of sliding right over that Pride Staff Award. Isn't that a pretty big deal, or did you buy that award?
It's a pretty big deal. We've gotten it 6 out of the last 7 years.
Wow.
And we missed it 1 year. It's a little bit of there's some strategy to it if you want to get the award, and so we've figured it out. And
is it put on
1 year we just what?
Is it put on by a radio station?
It's put on by the newspaper.
Oh, the newspaper, yeah, because the radio station here does that, and yeah, there's a whole package and strategy to that thing. Yeah.
So it was I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad we got it, and it's good for advertisement, and marketing, and but I wish I could say we had 7 in a row and we screwed up that 1 year, and oh gosh, we didn't promote it with anybody, and I guess we just fell asleep and thought it was automatic, and it's not.
Yeah, no, but still 6 out of 7, that's pretty good. So hey, so we're going to talk to a guy who's an old friend of yours, right?
Yes.
And he's an expat in Thailand.
Right. So we want to know about what it's like to live in Thailand.
Yeah.
And when we get George on here, listeners, just remember it's 4 a.m. in the morning for George. And it will be dark there, and he's worried about the lighting.
He just got in, so he's going to be a little.
He's an early riser, I do know that, but we tested this out a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So we'd be going along, and suddenly it'd freeze up. And I told him, "Don't worry about that. I can cut that out. We'll just keep going. Don't hang up. Don't stop. Don't back out. We'll just keep." Yeah. So listeners will not see this or hear it, but we may have some blips in this one today, but. George is an old friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, and we've, there's not many people in your life, Mark, that that you stay in contact with, and it takes a little work to do it. Well, George and I have been that way. You and I have certainly been that way since high school, and there's not many of them. You can't have many of them in your life, because
you worked with him, right, at General Tire.
Yes, he was a training manager there at General Tire, and him and I started a consulting business for a hot second. And we can talk about that. It went nowhere, made no money. So, as the innovator or the startup entrepreneurs say today, it was pre-profit.
Yeah,
pre-revenue. I don't know what the hell that means. You're broke.
That's why sometimes I tell the farm, they say, well, are you guys a nonprofit? Absolutely. Yep, we sure are. I don't think the government looks at us as a traditional nonprofit, but I can tell you that we are. I'd like to consider myself a nonprofit.
And I can
tax break though.
Yeah. They're pre-revenue. I used to, we go to these entrepreneur meetings, and this friend of mine here in Mark D, you remember Mark D? And we laugh about that pre-revenue. They go, yeah, see that bum on the corner? He's pre-revenue till he gets to the corner. Then he'll be revenue. Right now, he's pre-revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I'm going to use that. Actually, I'm going to steal that. Yeah.
Plagiarism is not, I mean.
Hey, by the way, we had someone at our Rotary Club, a heart surgeon, speaking at our Rotary Club. And I never thought about it like this. You know, every now and then you'll hear somebody say, well, you know, they didn't have cancer and all that stuff back in the late 1800s or whatever. They just didn't have, I mean, you know, people died of infections and stuff because we didn't have antibiotics and all of that.
Yeah, they didn't live long enough to get cancer.
That's what he said. He said, and he went through like the 1800s all the way up today, and where, you know, they didn't come up with echocardiograms until sonar in World War II. And but yeah, nobody lived long enough for those issues to happen.
Yeah.
You know, to manifest themselves. And I'd never thought about it like that. But yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah, I've said this before. You know, we said this the other day with Jeff Davis's thing that, you know, your genetics don't give two shits about you after procreation years. Living longer doesn't do your genetic, you know, genes are the longest living thing on this earth.
Yeah.
DNA is the longest living thing on this earth. And they don't give two shits about you after your procreation years. You know, if you die at 100, it didn't help the gene pool at all. You die at 30, doesn't matter. If you had kids, that's all that matters.
Okay, so you're saying that, well, so you're saying a gene never changes, it never ages.
I'm saying the genes don't, the mutation to live longer doesn't help you in the gene pool. The gene pool
is what it is.
You just, the genes, because of natural selection.
Yeah. So what you have,
the 100, if you know that somebody's going to live at 110, then that's not the person having all the kids. Everybody gets to have kids, whether they have the genes to live 110 or not. And genes don't care how long the organism lives, as long as you reproduce.
But are you saying you got to have those genes to live to 110?
I think it does. I think there's something to genetics of living longer. And I think these blue zones, that's what I was kind of pushing back on the blue zone thing a little bit, is like, well, they're all in an area. There might be something to them sharing genetics as well as lifestyle. Lifestyle is certainly part of it, but
well, but you can help yourself.
You can help yourself. You can help the genes.
Right. Help the genes, nourish the genes, you know. But yeah. Well, and also Blue Zones is about relationships, positive relationships, and, you know, watch that series. You haven't watched it yet?
Yeah, I started it.
You started it? How can you not watch it all the way through?
I just watch an episode, and then I'm going to watch another episode. I think I've watched 2 episodes.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody dies at the end. I hope I didn't ruin it for you.
well, you just spoiled it for me now.
They're dying at 110.
You spoiled it.
There are some changes to those blue zones over the last 30 years, though. And that guy, Buettner, is a pretty interesting cat. You know, I mean, the biking around the world like that. That's good. You know.
That's a task right there.
Yeah.
I got to ride this afternoon. I'm dreading it. I don't know why. As soon as I get on the bike, I'm good.
Yeah. No, well, that's
the mental thing.
Like anything, just getting to the bike.
Hey, it's 4 o'clock.
All right, let's do it.
Let's see if this guy's awake.
All right, I'll see you.
All right.
Other side.
Now. Hey, Mark, we're going to meet a friend of mine. I hope you're ready. He's in the waiting room. It's going to be dark over there.
At 4 a.m. Wakey, George.
Wakey. Here we go.
There we go.
Uh-oh. There he is.
All right.
There was a little red slash through the little camera thing. So yeah.
George, I want to show you my t-shirt. And look, here's our hero.
Oh, who's that? Let me see. Wait, gotta put my glasses on. Come
on. That's mediocrity.
That's life these days, man.
Man, we got swag and everything, George.
Yeah, merch. You
We got
selling
merch. We got merch.
Tammy has merch.
Hey, listeners,
I
this is
have
my
the
dear
t-shirt.
friend George Rowland. There's some more merch. This is my dear friend George Rowland. He lives in Thailand. He has 2 adult sons. He unfortunately became a widower after 40 years of marriage to a wonderful woman, Linda, who I knew very well. He's lived in 5 different locations in the United States, in the Midwest and South. As I said, currently lives in Thailand. He's married to a native Thai woman. His career was 35 years in HR and HR adjacent roles in mental health, retail, manufacturing sector. I met him as a training manager at General Tire back in the day. I'm going to add that for a hot second, George and I had a consulting company that never made any money, but we had a damn good looking trifo, didn't we, George? I think George froze up. We'll see. I'll keep reading here. George and I worked on, he's worked on focus on individual development, team effectiveness, and organizational excellence. Joined a large engineering construction firm in the Middle East and finished his career as a technical writer and training director there. The job in the Middle East provided travel opportunities, and I remember him. I was jealous of him. He went to, on his breaks, he went to Europe, the Middle East, Asia, all over. And in retirement, he settled in Thailand. He's got a modest little place in a fishing village near the mountains in southern Thailand. I've seen pictures of it. It's gorgeous. It looks like paradise.
So, are you near? Are you in Phuket, in that area, or where are you? Because I think that's south, isn't it? Phuket, isn't that Phuket?
Well, he's either froze up or he's had a stroke.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't laugh about that.
I know it. It'll be funny until it's true, and then we'll quit laughing.
Yeah. So
piano on, I could turn it off, maybe.
Yeah, there we go. That's
Snap on and off.
There we go.
He's like Mitch McConnell. He can come right out of a stroke just like that.
Yeah,
I mean that's one of my senators now. One of my many. I have so many senators because of so many places I've lived. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, are you near Phuket? Is that where you are? Is that
no? We're about halfway between Bangkok and Phuket.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're on the way south. I mean, if you drove from Bangkok to Phuket, you'd drive about 2 miles by our house on the one road that goes from Bangkok to the south.
Yeah.
So we're not.
When I went to Thailand, they and I assume they still do. They called it the land of smiles. And I tell you, even the airline.
Yeah.
Even the airline flying over, which was I think Korean Air. I mean, just the nicest flight attendants, the sweetest.
They're This worked so beautifully last week, Sam, and it's not.
Yeah, it did work pretty good.
We call that Murphy. We call Murphy getting involved. So
the king has a palace, in and around his palace, and in that city is Superior. So I've got that. I mean, my frame of reference for here.
Is there room at your place for Sam and I?
Yeah, there is. You got to share. You got to share a bed.
Yeah.
Or there's and
hammock out there. Can I be in a hammock and not worry about a snake?
No, he sent me a picture of his friend on the roof one day, and you don't want to. It's this giant lizard. Giant lizard.
If
it's not a Komodo dragon, I'm fine. I mean, lizard.
That's what it looked like, Mark. It looked just like one of those monitor dragons, and it's just hanging out on his roof.
Well, is it
That was in Bangkok, not here. We don't have those.
Oh,
here.
that's in Bangkok. It was 50 miles away.
That was
big lizards here.
That was one of those lizards that climb up out of the sewer.
Yeah, those were city lizards, Sam. Those were city
lizards, all right.
Yeah.
City lizards eating on city
Mark,
rats.
this thing was so big, you could have made 10 pairs of shoes out of it.
Oh, easily. It was huge.
It was
And
huge.
you know, and to hear it walking and scraping its way across the metal roof underneath it was pretty frightening.
Hey,
And to get pictures of it was fun.
what?
We've seen them a few times.
He said it didn't eat big dogs.
No, but it'll keep the cat population down. That's for sure.
Rats or anything.
Oh my.
Hey, what do you miss? What do you miss that you can't buy there, for instance, or run and get that you had here, like a Snickers bar, or I mean, what do you miss?
Not what here. I've gotten so used to not having that stuff that I don't really miss it. I would love to be able to get a pair of shoes that fit for stuff like that. But
Really, you can't have them made there?
No, well, I mean, I probably
Man, I have
could, but
suits made there and shirts made there, and custom.
man,
Everything I'm
I'm
wearing
not-
is made in Thailand.
yeah, yeah.
What do you mean you can't get a pair of shoes?
Yeah, I would think you can get anything there.
Well,
You know?
yeah, you can. You just have to find the right places, right? You have to. But it's not like I'm out there looking, So every couple of years I might spring a couple $100 on a pair of shoes from Amazon. So
Yeah, just
Well,
got to get.
I
and
would
then
think you would be, living in Thailand, you might as well be shoeless anyway, right?
yeah, I mean, as long as I have Crocs and socks, I'm good.
Crocs.
Rocks and socks.
Guaranteed men not to get laid. Crocs.
I think. Well, he doesn't need to. I think that might be the title of your autobiography.
Yeah, well, that's certainly my fashion statement.
Crocs and socks.
You got it, man.
I love it. I love
Crocs and socks. George Rowland in Thailand.
it. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah. Well, Crocs is.
So
easy.
yeah, there's nothing. There's some things every now and again, like tools, if there, or fasteners, things that I got used to working with in my little tinkering.
Right, little piece of
Saw blades, drill bits, goofy stuff like that, that I can get, but the quality is really bad because it all comes from China. So it's
can Amazon
not,
can Amazon get to you there? I mean,
yeah. Just the import duty is like 100%. So it's not that I can't afford it. I just have this thing about spending more than the value of the item on taxes. So, it's a personal problem.
No, I agree. I think I agree. I agree with that.
So I'm a little disappointed that Ploy didn't get out of bed for, at least to wave at us.
Well, she just walked through. So I think me talking on the phone has awakened her. So, but we won't see her face. I'll guarantee you that.
Hey, George. Okay, so let's go to the other side. What's your what's your favorite thing about Thailand? But also, I'm a foodie. What's your favorite meal in Thailand?
Oh man. Everyone Ploy makes.
Ploy's quite the chef.
Oh
Wow.
my God. I mean, she makes she wonders if I get bored of her cooking. So we make a big pot of noodles. She makes a big pot of noodles, and they're different every single night until that pot is gone. And it's always fresh and it's always different and it's fabulous. So, but everything she makes is just top shelf. I mean, and she's got a natural, a well-honed skill of just mixing spices.
Well, do you eat
and stuff.
you eat protein like fish or meat or anything like
spicy sometimes, but I like spicy.
Yeah.
I just, try to keep myself healthy and active and not doing much. I don't go every day and walk my dog a couple times a day and visit. I have a couple of neighbors here. It's kind of funny, but the Thai people who live nearby, these are their weekend houses and they come, maybe once or twice a month. I got an American guy that has moved in. He's waiting for his own house to be built. I got a British guy who's waiting for his own house to be built. And then a good friend who's a professor in Bangkok who has a house here, and they spend weekends here.
Wait, what about citizenship?
There's no citizenship. I'm on a visa that I have to renew every year. It's a retirement visa, and I have to qualify for that by having a certain chunk of money stashed in a bank account here in Thailand. I can do it that way, or I can qualify based on my income being direct deposited into Thai banks. But I just keep a chunk of money in my Bangkok bank account, and that's what qualifies me to be able to stay here. Now those rules change, and it might get more expensive in the future, or it may get more difficult or challenging for people who want to live here in the future. I think now somebody who would come in has to show proof of health insurance or buy it here. But I don't have that requirement right now.
What if you bought health insurance? How does that work there? Would be like in America? It's exorbitant, or?
Yes, it's exorbitant, and it excludes all pre-existing conditions. It does everything it can not to. It's got a bad reputation, and it's very expensive if you start to insure yourself at the age of 70, and then it gets more expensive every single year. So I just did a lot of looking and searching and said, well, I'll just keep that money in the 401k for the time when I really need to spend it on healthcare.
George, it's a stuttering problem I'm worried about. I think you need to get that checked out.
He just said, all I caught was I'm pretty. That's all I heard. He said I'm pretty. I don't know what that's got to do with healthcare, but
yeah, I am pretty. I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty healthy. Right. I'm happy about that.
Okay, what was the number 2 choice?
Costa Rica. And when I worked overseas, when I worked in the Middle East, I knew people who were doing that. Lots of people were exploring and looking for places to live and places to vacation. And so, my research basically came by talking to my colleagues who had been spending years exploring the world and finding places. So, and I worked with a bunch of engineers that researched everything and had all the answers. So I had a great source of information about different places to look and live. Once I came here, and then I met my wife, and then this was it. So
can't move to Bloomington once you meet your
I'm really sorry about this technology glitch. I'm enjoying our conversation, but
right now, I guess Portugal is a real popular place.
Yeah. Yep. And there's a lot of good information out there for people to do research about living and settling in different places. There's expat communities everywhere now. So, I did a fair amount of research, but I've pretty much followed my heart when I came here. So.
Well, it's interesting. It just seems like more and more people, that's a consideration, is to retire somewhere out of country. It's not unusual now.
No, and it hasn't been for a long time. I mean, Americans have been coming to Thailand to retire
Thailand,
certainly since Vietnam. Maybe before then, but in larger numbers because so many GIs would come here for their R&Rs. And I mean, there's a whole city that's basically built basically on GI, what's that called? Drunken sailor behavior.
Right.
Uh,
Speaking of GIs in Vietnam, I don't know if you saw this today, George, but Jim Doig passed away this morning.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Was he?
Well, he
sick?
battled cancer and beat it, a few years ago. And then his wife just texted me that he
Oh
he got some kind of blood infection and attacked his liver and his kidneys and finally his brain. And, and it was pretty quick too. I'd been worried about him for a few weeks because I'd text him back and forth and they didn't know what it was. They didn't know, they thought it was some kind of blood infection or something. And he got out of the hospital, but then he got worse and he went back in the hospital and last week. So I hadn't, it was one of those deals I had intended to call him and I just didn't get it done. Pass away this morning, but there's a guy, Mark, that I don't know if you knew Jim Doig's, the Doigs, but he's a true American hero, and his Vietnam stories are unbelievable, and I mean unbelievable. He was like, I started General Tire as a young man. I was surrounded by all these Vietnam vets. And they'd all brag about, talk about their service, and they did this until Jim Doig came in the room. And they wasn't
really?
because they used to say, well, we were in Vietnam, but he was in the shit. That's how they say it. He was in the shit. And he had one of his incidents was written up in Stars and Stripes.
What was he? Was he Special Forces or Marines?
Just a Army grunt. And
he was an
one of those guys
NCO.
they throw him out of a helicopter and over the DMV, and we'll see you in a week.
Yeah. Oh, long range patrols. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
they were LERPs.
This story in Stars and Stripes. They were in a firefight, and this guy gets shot pretty bad, an arm blown off or something, and the medic crawls over, puts a tourniquet on him, and then gets a bag going, blood bag going, and the medic gets shot and killed. So Jim Doig crawls over and holds up the bag. So this, because you got to hold it up for the blood to go into this cat. And then he said there was a shot by his head, and he said, I just looked and I was covered with blood. He told me this story before. I saw it in the Stars and Stripes. He says I was just covered in blood, and he said, I thought I'd been shot. And finally, he pulled the guy out. He ended up getting the Bronze Star for his service.
So the bag got shot?
The bag got shot, but he didn't know if it was him. He just knew there was something blew up and he was covered in blood.
Man.
And that was not the only story. I won't take over the time here, but I just want to salute a true American hero there. And he was a good friend of mine, and George and I loved working with this guy. And
he was
a man's man.
He was an amazing dude.
He was the real deal.
And he never.
I told him one time, I said, I don't know how someone could go through the experiences you've had in Vietnam and come back fairly normal. And you know what he said to me? Who said that I was fairly normal?
Yeah.
Who said I was normal?
You don't know what his nights are like.
You don't know.
And, what it's like.
I got this email one time that they were doing these tours in Vietnam where servicemen were going back over and doing these tours through Vietnam. And this was several years ago, but I sent it to Jim and I said, did you ever think about going back and doing one of these tours or something? You know what his reply was? No.
I can't imagine.
It's just no. One word, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
didn't elaborate, didn't say anything else, just said no.
And that tells you in his mind, it's too close as it is. I don't need to be back there and really jar the memories.
George and I knew some guys at General Tire that were in Vietnam that they did not come back right. But I was always amazed at Jim Doak that he was
Yeah.
somehow even keeled and stable.
I-
He was a good man. We're down to saying our goodbyes here. George, I love you.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending time with us at 4:00 in the morning. I'll somehow
Actually-
edit this out to be a little, get some of the technicals out of it, but it was still good talking to you.
Yeah, no, it was. You're living the, what a lot of people think about doing.
That's
I used to say that to
small
George. Say,
town. in
I'm
Mount
living
Vernon, sent a lot
vicariously
of
through
guys to
George.
Vietnam. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Nice to-
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's still
I-
shocking to
I-
me that you two have not met because George was in choir with your dad, Mark,
Yeah.
He knew.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
we
what?
know a lot of the same people, I'm sure. I mean, that's the way it was in Mount Vernon, right? I mean,
Yeah. And
if you belong to any group, you knew people who knew people, and that's the way it was there.
and I may have known you. I got to tell you, my memory.
No, I think you were off at the school and everything before George came to work at General Tire, and then.
I mean,
Well,
I was only there for 5 years, so
Yeah.
and literally my life was like Summersville School and General Tire and the church. That was it, and scouting. I was my little kids, so
I think the gymnasium, I believe the gymnasium at Summersfield School is named after my grandfather. Hirons? Is it?
probably
Hicks.
I don't remember the name.
I
Hicks.
thought it was named after me.
Hicks is it? Because that's what my Uncle Mick told me, and I'm curious. But next time I get out that way, I want to check it out.
Well, we got to say goodbye. We're going to get cut
All
off.
right.
I love you, George. Enjoy the
Love you
rest
too.
of the day. Thank you so much.
Great meeting you, George. Keep it up.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye guys.
All right.
Good. 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 Enough. As good enough.